You're watching Road Legal, and this is the C8 Corvette. Let's check out the exterior. Up front, if you've ever wanted to see a fighter jet for the road, leave it to America to figure it out. Sharp angular lines give it a very Aventador-like feel. But honestly, if I would describe this car, it literally looks like a snake that's flexing its face because it's showing its fangs to you, which this car literally has on either side of the bumpers, extenuated by these center design lines that all come to a point, and the headlights literally look like they're being stretched back. You have fully functional air vents, no fake vents here because this car can't afford due to the small space. But if any car looks like it can cut you by just looking at it, this is that car. Honestly, not a bad first try for America's first affordable supercar. And onto the side, the fighter jetness continues with more angular lines literally everywhere. The designers probably would have made the wheels square if they could have because of their hate for round corners on this car. You have a wedge door, flared out side skirts. You have an air intake that looks like it came straight from a F-22 Raptor, which is just the most American thing ever. And this car isn't afraid to use those angular fighter jet lines like those sissy Europeans do. You have really wide hips, as any American woman should have. But I do want to say that for some reason people look down on the mid-engine Corvette. They think it's like the hood supercar because, you know, Rick Ross bought one and all that when they first launched.
Ain't nothing wrong with starting at the bottom. It's your decision if you're gonna stay there.
But I feel like this car honestly deserves more respect. It literally does look like a supercar. It has all the lines to prove it. It has the super wide tires to prove it. It has the staggered setup to prove it. And just everything in between. High sill doors that limit your visibility, yes, but again, makes it look like a supercar. I feel like there was a demand for a mid-engine sports/supercar in the market that didn't cost supercar money. And this car honestly delivered. But to be completely honest with you, out of this entire car, the back is probably my favorite part. These clustered angular taillights, which honestly just give it an extremely aggressive look, which I love, especially at night. It gives this car a very mean presence to it. Obviously, I have more functional air vents in the back. Again, the angular design continues. Everything about this car looks sculpted. It literally looks like it's gonna cut you if you look at it wrong. You have a pretty big spoiler that comes with the Z51 package, which gives this car a really nice visual height, as well as making it look more race car. But I just think it's the perfect rear end. It's extremely angular, it looks extremely aggressive, and honestly, it just looks cool. I don't really know how else to say it. The only gripe I have with the back of this car, to be completely honest with you, is probably those angular tailpipes. I still just haven't grown to liking them, to be honest with you. It's been a couple of years since this car has been out, and I still would have preferred if they were round. Up top on that huge deck lid, you have that really elegant Stingray logo that I don't know why some people honestly don't like it. I feel like it fits this car very well. It's also dead center, which flows perfectly with the design. And moving on with the angular theme of this car, they even made the Stingray angular. You also have a window to see that 6.2 liter V8 peeking out, venting on the side here for that engine to breathe, but honestly makes your engine bay pretty dirty considering all the rainwater and dirt and dust all gets up in there. But with all that being said, let's hear what this baby sounds like. With a starting MSRP of $68,000, under the deck lid this time, you have a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 pushing out 490 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Made it to an 8-speed DCT, pushing out the rear wheels. It pushes this 3,500 pound Corvette from 0 to 60 in just, well, take a look. Getting inside, you're actually greeted by some pretty low sills because GM knew exactly who their buyer was, and they're mostly 50-year-old overweight white men, which the highest barrier to entry for supercars isn't actually money, it's actually being able to use them. because a lot of people will just look at a McLaren or a Ferrari or a Lambo and look at the extremely bolstered seat and the very high sills because of their carbon tubs most of the time, and they won't even buy them. So Corvette has really solved this issue by providing really low sills, calm bolstering on the seats so you're able to slot in easier, which honestly does work. This car isn't too bad to get into compared to literally any mid-engine source car. You have to be a trapezist to be able to get in. And once you get in, you really see the generational shift that the Corvette has done from the C8 to the C7. It's almost a new lineup of cars. It's not, when you think Corvette, you think stripped down, big engine, light, you go fast, you almost die, you have fun, you go home. That's basically what the Corvette moniker was. But now it's a lot more refined. You get in here, you can really tell how much effort they put into the interior. You have leather everywhere, contrasting stitching. You have nice materials like this brushed aluminum near the door switches, nice aluminum on the switches themselves to give you a more premium feel. Nothing really feels super cheap inside this car, which Corvette's kind of struggled with, always feeling like the cheaper sports car alternative to something higher end like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. So this really did change the game up. Obviously, you have angles everywhere, and I literally told you if they could make the wheel square, they would have. And in the steering wheel, they were able to turn it square, and so it's a square. They made it a slightly rounder square. That's what they made for the steering wheel. And honestly, I respect the hustle. All right. They said nothing round, and I mean, they achieved it. So why not? But other than that, you get in here, it really does feel, it almost feels like a very high-tech version of what the Supra's cockpit used to look like, how it kind of swooped around you, but this one kind of really took it up to 11 with really feeling like a fighter jet. You have just huge metal paddles, the squircle, like I just said, with buttons that click from the back forwards, which is interesting, which is kind of confusing the first time I got into it, but I got used to it pretty quickly. I guess because your hands are always on the wheel and your fingers are already behind the wheel. I guess that makes sense. But other than that, it's honestly very comfortable. The visibility is really nice. You can see all around this car. Obviously, aside from, you put your turn signal on and you're going to change lanes, and then you do one of these and you're like, oh, that's my B pillar. Uh-oh. So the vision from the back isn't great. I would highly recommend, if you're going to get this car, spec out the blind spot monitoring. I promise you it is worth the money and most likely will save your life, because the rear you can't really see much out of. Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit, but then you also have the spoiler cutting the view in half, so that's not really great. And for some Corvettes that weren't optional with the camera rear view mirror, it kind of becomes a problem because this one doesn't have it, so I can't see behind me at all. So obviously, again, the cockpit, the driver is the most focused person in this cabin. Obviously, makes sense. You have your digital cluster, but you also have your infotainment screen curved towards you, so the passenger basically can't see the infotainment screen. And honestly, the passenger really doesn't have much going for them at all. They have 2 vents and that's it. They get to see the other side of the Great Wall of buttons that kind of divides you and them. That's it. This gear selector that honestly I don't have a problem with. It's pretty functional. Again, it's lined with aluminum, so it's not bad. And for some people who say, oh, where's the manual? They literally couldn't fit a manual because the giant gear tunnel, which they had to use to strengthen the body to give you lower sills so you can, get in. So unfortunately, this car probably will never come with a manual. But honestly, the 8-speed DCT doesn't leave you wanting. It's extremely fast. It shifts really well. There's no gear shock. You just kind of get in and go. So props to them. It gets pretty close to some other really good DCTs like BMW's DCT, or it's pretty close to Porsche's PDK, to be completely honest with you. So that's not too bad either. Again, it's just all about experience in the C8, and it delivers every single time. You really do feel like you're in something special when you get in this car. Let's talk about how this thing drives real quick. So let's talk about comfort. It's super comfortable. It does the road perfectly. You wouldn't expect it out of a car that looks like this, but the suspension is nice and compliant. The cabin is nice and quiet compared to something that to a supercar or a sports car. It's not super punishing. The seats hold you in really nice. There's no shocks through the cabin because of the suspension. The transmission doesn't have gear shock. It doesn't shift too fast. It doesn't get into your way. You don't feel it shifting at all in comfort, which is amazing. So daily use, comfort-wise, perfect. You don't need anything more than this. You have the practicality for comfort as well. You have a bunch of storage. You have an optional wireless charger. You have space in the glove box. You have space in the front. You have space in the trunk. You have everything. So in comfort, daily use, it's perfect. The steering, it's nice and light in comfort. It weights up nicely in sport. And you have a really strong on-center feel, which is perfect. Yes, it's not hydraulic, so you're not going to feel everything on the road, and the grip levels are a little bit vague. But honestly, for what this is, for a base level C8, for a base level mid-engine sports car, I can't ask for anything more. In terms of chassis, the chassis is honestly amazing. This mid-engine design gives you tons of traction because that engine is just sitting on those rear wheels, even though it's technically still a little bit forward, but it gives you all the traction you ever need. You put your foot down in a Corvette of old and you are spinning the block accidentally doing donuts. This car, you put your foot down and you get all the traction you need. You're never worried about it, which is just such an amazing thing. It's super balanced around corners. If anything, people say, oh, the chassis is a little bit too soft for like tracking, and you know, the front end's a little bit soft and there's a little bit of understeer and all that. That's fine. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. No one who's buying the base C8, especially for this price point, is gonna be tracking it every single day. There are more serious track cars that you can buy for the same price, but this has so much more to offer. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it's fast. And when I mean quiet, it's quiet when you want it to be. Don't get me wrong, this is still a Corvette. That's still a 6.2 liter V8 behind me. I floor it, and you can hear it. So it's not a Prius. So in terms of that, street driving is perfect. You want to take it out in the canyons and beat it up, it will do so without a second thought. It will do it with a smile even. And you're doing this all in this comfortable cabin with cool seats and really nice steering. And obviously, you know, there's nothing compromising about this experience, which is what has put off so many people from the mid-engine sport/supercar segment, is because they can't get in it. They don't like driving it because it punishes them so hard. And it's just not usable day to day. So these cars sit in garages for years and years collecting dust. This car was meant to be driven, and it gives you the ability to, which is just amazing. So if there's anything you would need out of this car, I can't even think of one. I mean, if anything, if you're being really picky and you're like, oh, Corvettes have always been amazing on the track. This car isn't as capable as the other ones. Okay. Those other ones, most of the time that you're talking about, are Z06 and ZR1 models. And guess what? They make a Z06 and ZR1 of this chassis, of this model. And I can only imagine how insane they are. I've seen the reviews that Z06 with its flat plane crank revs like a Ferrari and has amazing handling around the track. So if you want something super track focused, buy one of those. But for a daily drivable mid-engine sports car, which I'm just super happy to be able to say those words, because it's honestly been such a dream for me that a car that looks like this, that drives like this, that has an engine like this, gets driven. And it doesn't punish you for, you know, being driven, which is amazing, which means less of these will sit in garages and collect dust. Less of these will rot away in collections. These will be driven. So if there's anything I'm going to leave you with this video with, why haven't you bought one yet? And that's it. Thanks for watching.